Hi everyone, welcome to lesson 1.2 on circle trigonometry. So in this lesson we're going to extend trigonometry so that it doesn't apply only to right triangles but to all possible angles. And to do this we use something called the unit circle. The unit circle is just the circle with radius 1 that's centered at the origin, which is the point 0, 0 on the xy axis. So radius 1, so that means that if we go out this way, we're going a distance of 1, so this is the point 1, 0. Up here we go a distance of 1, so 0, 1, negative 1, 0, and then 0, negative 1. All right, how does this help us define the trig functions? So let's say we have a point on that circle. So if the point is on the circle, since the circle is radius 1, we know that distance is 1. Then let's say I make a triangle with the x-axis. Okay, this point has coordinates x, y. Whatever distance I go in the x direction, that's the x coordinate of the point, right? And whatever distance we go up in the y direction, that's the y coordinate of the point. So the sides of this triangle are, the bottom side is x, the vertical side is y. So now let's look at the trig ratios. Let's say this angle is theta. So I'm starting here and then measuring up theta. What is sine of theta? So sine of theta would be the opposite side over the hypotenuse, right? So the opposite side is y, the hypotenuse is 1, so it's just whatever the y coordinate is. The sine of the angle is whatever the y coordinate is. Okay, what about cosine? So that's the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. So the adjacent side for theta is x, hypotenuse is 1, so that will be x over 1, and that's just equal to x. So whatever the x coordinate of this point is, that's the cosine of the angle. And then we know that tangent is opposite over adjacent. The opposite side is y, the adjacent side is x, so we could find the tangent of the angle by doing the y coordinate divided by the x coordinate. And we use these definitions to find the trig values for any angle. So if you want to find the trig value of like 300 degrees, you would go around the circle until you hit 300 degrees, and then you would find the coordinates of the point on the circle, and that will give you the sine, the cosine, and the tangent. A couple things. So let's see. Right here, this point is 0 degrees. The point 1, 0, we say that's 0 degrees. And then we measure positive angles in the counterclockwise direction. And if we want a negative angle, we go clockwise. So a positive angle, I would start here and go around the circle. A negative angle, I would start here and go around the circle. And if you have an angle that's more than 360 degrees, you'll just go around and around and around the circle. All right, so in our next lesson, we'll talk about, like, if you're here, for example, how could you find the points? But for this lesson, we're just going to be working with these nice points. So this is 0 degrees. If we go up to this point, we've gone a quarter of a circle, which is 90 degrees, right? Then if we go to this point, we've gone half of the circle, so this would be 180. Down to this point, we're 3/4 of the circle, so this is going to be 270 degrees. And then if we come back to the start, we're at 360. Okay, so this is probably seeming a little bit weird or abstract. Let's look at some examples. We're going to use the unit circle to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of each angle. So let's start with 180 degrees. So we know we start here and it's a positive angle, so we're going to go counterclockwise. We're going to go this direction 180. So we end up right here, right? That's where we end up. Okay, so now let's find the sine, cosine, and tangent. We know that the sine of 180 is going to be the y-coordinate of that point on the circle. The point on the circle is right here, and here are the coordinates, x and y. X is -1, y is 0. So the y-coordinate is 0, so sine of 180 degrees is 0. And that's it. That's all there is to it. For cosine is the x-coordinate, and the x-coordinate of that point is -1. So cosine of 180 is -1. And then finally, tangent. Tangent is the y-coordinate divided by the x-coordinate. So that would be 0 divided by -1, which is just 0. So we got 0, -1, and 0 for sine, cosine, and tangent of 180. All right, let's try another one. So -90. We know that we start here. Since it's negative, we're going to go clockwise. 90 degrees brings us here. So here's our point on the circle. Okay, and here's the coordinates, x, y, 0, -1. Okay, the sine of an angle is the y-coordinate, so sine of -90 is the y value, which is just -1. The cosine of -90 will be its x-coordinate, which is 0, so the cosine of -90 is 0. And now let's look at tangent of -90. Tangent is the y over the x, so that would be -1 over 0, but this is a problem. Dividing by 0 is undefined, so we say that this is undefined. So we had -1 for sine, 0 for cosine, and tangent was undefined. You can say that, undefined, as your answer. All right, let's do one more. So we've seen just a normal angle, we've seen a negative angle, now let's do an angle that's more than 360 degrees. So 450. We know we start here at 0. If we go all the way around the circle once, that would be 360 degrees, right? Okay, now we need to get to 450. That's 90 more degrees than 360. So once I'm back at 360, I need to go, I need to go 90 more degrees. So I would end up right here in the same position as just a regular 90. So that's 450. We went around the circle more than once. Okay, and now we're looking at our coordinates. So we have our x and our y. The x is 0, the y is 1. So sine of 450, that's going to be the y-coordinate, which is 1. Cosine of 450, that's going to be the x-coordinate, which is 0. And then tangent of 450, that's the y over the x, so 1 over 0. And again, we end up with dividing by 0. We can't do that in math, so our answer here is undefined for tangent. All right, so that's a basic intro to circle trigonometry, and using the unit circle and coordinates of points on the unit circle to find the sine, cosine, and tangent of angles.